All right, let's dive into a really powerful concept that's shaking up the data world, the lakehouse. We're going to look at how Microsoft Fabric is using this idea to solve a huge, expensive headache that's been around for years. So let's get right into it. To really get why the lakehouse is such a big deal, we got to go back and look at a classic problem, a fundamental split in how we used to think about managing information. For the longest time, you basically had to pick a side. On one hand, you had the data warehouse, super structured, totally reliable, and awesome for business analytics. The catch? It was really rigid. On the other hand, you had the data lake. This thing was incredibly flexible, could scale to any size, and would hold any kind of data you threw at it. But it could get messy and didn't have the same guarantees as a warehouse. So for most companies, this meant paying for and managing two completely separate, complicated systems. A total headache, both technically and for the budget. So this problem, this constant choice between structure and flexibility, it led people to ask a really simple but game-changing question. Why on earth do we have to choose? And that, right there, brings us to the solution. It's the answer to that very question, the lakehouse architecture. This is the idea at the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. So what is it really? Well, think of a lakehouse as a single unified system. It's built on this open source format called Delta Lake, which is the secret sauce. It adds this critical layer of reliability and performance right on top of your data lake. What that means is you get the powerful SQL-based analytics of a data warehouse and the flexible, cheap storage of a data lake, all in one place. No more juggling two different systems. Okay, so we get the what, but what does this combination actually do for you? What are the superpowers you get with this approach? Let's break down the big benefits. First up, and this one is huge, it completely tears down silos. Instead of engineers working over here and analysts way over there, everyone, data engineers, data scientists, business analysts, they all come to one central place. And this isn't just about being tidy, it means you get from data to insights way faster, because teams aren't stuck waiting for data to be copied and translated between different systems. Second, you get incredible flexibility. This idea, schema on read, is a total game changer. It basically means you don't have to force all your data into a rigid box the moment it arrives. You can define the structure later, right when you're ready to actually analyze it. This is perfect for the real world, where you're dealing with all sorts of messy and evolving data. Third, it brings that rock-solid reliability of a traditional database into the world of big data. It supports something called ACID transactions. That's just a fancy acronym for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. All you need to know is that it guarantees your data operations are reliable and your data stays consistent, even if you have a ton of people and processes working on it all at once. And finally, it gives you the raw horsepower you need from modern analytics. It uses powerful engines like Apache Spark for the really heavy lifting with big data. But it also speaks the language of SQL that so many people know and love. This makes it the perfect platform for everything from your standard business reports all the way to advanced machine learning models. Okay, so the benefits are pretty clear, but how does this all work in the real world? How do you actually get data into the lakehouse and start pulling out those valuable insights? The process is pretty straightforward, following that classic ETL model. Extract, transform, load. First, you ingest the data. You pull it in from all your different sources, whether it's local files, databases, whatever. Then, you transform it. This is where you clean it up and get it ready for analysis. And finally, you load that polished data into the lakehouse, often using automated pipelines to manage the whole flow. Now, this is where things get really interesting for a ton of people. That middle step, the transformation, Fabric lets you use tools like Dataflow's Gen 2, which are built on something called Power Query. This is a massive deal because it means the millions of analysts out there who already live and breathe in Excel or Power BI can just jump right in and start working with data. The learning curve is practically non-existent for them. So once your data is sitting nicely in the lakehouse, the possibilities just explode. You can run seriously complex SQL queries on enormous data sets. You can train and deploy sophisticated machine learning models. You can even perform analytics on data as it's streaming in real time. And of course, you can build and share those amazing interactive reports right inside Power BI. Okay, but wait, if you have all of this valuable data in one central hub, you have to be thinking about security and governance, right? It's absolutely critical. You've got to make sure the right people have the right access to the right data. And Fabric handles this with a really smart two-level approach. For your builders, the data engineers and scientists who are creating things, you have workspace roles that give them broad access to collaborate. But for the consumers, your analysts and business users who just need to see the results, you can use item-level sharing to give them very specific, often read-only, access to just the reports or datasets they need. It's simple and it's secure. And it doesn't just stop at who can see what. The Lakehouse in Fabric also plugs into some really powerful governance tools. You can apply sensitivity labels to your data to classify it, and you can connect it all to Microsoft Purview for that comprehensive enterprise-level oversight you need for compliance and peace of mind. So here's the bottom line. This Lakehouse architecture isn't just a new piece of tech for the sake of it. It is a direct answer to the very real challenges of modern data. It brings the best of both worlds, the structure of a warehouse and the flexibility of a lake, into a single powerful platform. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In a world where data is just exploding, is the Lakehouse about to become the new default standard for pretty much all analytics?